All right, so today, let's dive into something I'm pretty sure you guys have experienced firsthand.
Okay.
It's that whole like getting everyone on the same page when you're building a product.
Right.
Have you ever felt like maybe your input kind of got lost in the shuffle?
Yeah.
Or like, how do you even make sure that everyone's rowing in the same direction?
Yeah.
Well, that is exactly what we're tackling today.
I like it.
And we're pulling some insights from a document called Engage the Whole Team.
Okay.
And this is actually part of a larger framework for product ownership analysis,
Okay.
POA.
Right.
And so what's really interesting about this document
Yeah.
is that it really challenges this like traditional view
Uh-huh.
of like who even makes up a team in product development.
Yeah.
So we tend to focus on like the obvious players, developers, designers,
Yeah.
maybe a product manager,
Uh-huh.
but engage the whole team kind of pushes us to think a little bit bigger.
Yeah, for sure.
So besides the folks writing code and sketching screens, like who else is sitting at this like epic team table?
Well, it's a broader group than you might think.
Okay.
We're talking about customers or their representative,
Okay.
stakeholders who will feel the impact of this product, good or bad,
Uh-huh.
and even those teams who support development itself, like marketing and customer service.
Wow.
It's everyone who has a stake in the product's success.
Okay, so it's like everyone's got skin in the game,
Right.
but why is this whole team concept so crucial,
Yeah.
especially for someone who's like deep in the POA world?
Well, because when everyone feels ownership and they have a voice,
Uh-huh.
you unlock this treasure trove of diverse knowledge and perspectives.
Oh, I like that.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Marketing might spot a customer need the developers never even considered.
Right.
Or customer service could flag a potential usability issue before it even hits the market.
Right.
That's how you get truly innovative and customer-centric solutions.
Yeah, you get those aha moments
Yeah.
when like someone from a totally different department
Right.
will point something out and you're like, how did we all miss that?
Exactly.
And the source actually dives into a real world example,
Okay.
a case study about a European company that's doing both construction and retail.
Okay.
And it's WRU.
WRU?
And they were trying to build this system
Yeah.
to streamline all of their construction plans and models.
Yeah, and that's where things get really interesting. WRU's case highlights a really common challenge.
Yeah.
It's those competing stakeholder desires.
Yeah.
Their PMO wanted streamlined information.
Okay.
The software team, they were all about the latest tech.
Makes sense.
The architects wanted that, single source of truth.
Of course.
And marketing was already thinking about how to sell it.
Oh, yeah. They're way ahead.
Yeah, so it's a recipe for disaster if those desires aren't aligned.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Talk about scope creep and missed deadlines.
Totally.
So how did WRU avoid falling into that trap?
By embracing the core concept of a shared vision.
Okay.
The source breaks this down into 3 key areas.
Okay.
First, you need that shared understanding of the product's purpose and a vision that genuinely excites people.
Right.
Then, it's about fostering a sense of collective responsibility, where everyone feels accountable for the success of the product, not just their little piece of the puzzle.
Right.
And finally, you need continuous product alignment.
Okay.
Making sure that your vision, strategy, and goals still match what your customers and the market need, even as things change.
Okay, so those are some pretty powerful ideas.
Yeah.
But how do you actually make them happen?
Right.
It's easy to just say shared vision,
Right.
but getting everyone on board with that vision is a whole other challenge.
You're right. It's not just about having a meeting and saying, okay, everyone, let's have a shared vision.
Right, exactly.
That's where specific POA techniques come into play.
Okay, so give me the toolkit. What techniques can we actually use to like build that shared vision and get everyone rowing in the same direction?
The source points to several techniques in the POA framework that are especially relevant here.
Okay.
One is visioning,
Okay.
and it's about more than just crafting a mission statement.
Right.
It's about engaging the team in a process to define a desired outcome that's both clear and inspiring.
Okay, yeah, I can see how we get people more invested in the product.
Yeah,
It's not just a task list.
right.
It's like a vision that they help to create.
Exactly.
What other techniques are we talking about here?
Another powerful one is value modeling.
Okay.
And this helps you understand the value the product brings to each stakeholder group, not just the end user.
So you can show the marketing team how this product will help them achieve their goals,
Yeah,
or the customer service team how it'll make their lives easier.
exactly.
Right.
When everyone sees how the product benefits them,
Uh-huh.
they're more likely to buy into that shared vision. And there's a technique from the IBA's Baybuck guide that fits in nicely here.
Okay.
Business capability analysis.
Okay, remind me what business capability analysis is all about.
It helps you figure out if your company actually has the chops to support the product vision.
Okay.
Can you actually deliver on what you're promising?
Right.
Do you have the right resources, infrastructure, and expertise?
That's crucial. There's nothing worse than like having this amazing vision and then like halfway through
Totally.
realizing that you just can't pull it off.
Yeah.
So are there any techniques for actually communicating that shared vision once you've built it?
Yeah.
Because like even the best vision won't get you very far if people can't remember it or
Right.
explain it to others.
Absolutely. The source emphasizes the importance of crafting a compelling elevator pitch or soundbite.
Okay.
Think of it as the essence of your product's value proposition,
Huh.
something that's easy to grasp and remember.
Ooh, elevator pitches.
Yeah.
I love a good challenge. So think you could come up with one for WRU's information management system.
Let's see. Overwhelmed by construction data.
Okay.
WRU's platform gives you one central hub to manage it all, streamline your workflow, and make better decisions faster. How's that?
Not bad. I think you nailed the core value proposition there.
Okay, good.
Concise and memorable.
All right.
Okay, so we've got visioning, value modeling, business capability analysis,
Right.
and the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Any other techniques that we can pull from the POA framework
Let's see.
to foster that shared vision?
There's one more I think is worth highlighting.
Okay.
2 grains. Tell it and sell it.
Okay, that one sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
Break it down for me.
It's a collaborative exercise designed to help the team connect with the vision on both a practical and emotional level.
Right.
It's not just about understanding the logic of the vision.
Right.
It's about feeling it in your gut.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into that passion and making the vision something that people truly believe in.
Exactly. And that's what Engage the Whole Team is all about.
Right.
Creating a shared understanding, fostering a sense of ownership,
Right.
and inspiring everyone to work together towards that common goal.
This is pure gold. Our listeners are going to be rocking their next product strategy meeting after this.
Awesome.
Okay, let's dive back into that WRU case study
Okay.
and see how they actually put these techniques into practice.
All right.
Did they manage to create a product that worked for everyone?
Well, it wasn't without its challenges.
Okay.
They ended up building a product called HomeKey for managing construction data and visualizations.
Okay.
Initially, they focused heavily on expert users, like
Mhm.
designers and architects,
Right.
and they actually missed a pretty big opportunity.
Oh, what happened?
They completely overlooked the needs of another crucial stakeholder group,
Okay.
the homebuyers themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big miss. How did they let that happen?
Well, it highlights a key point that we've been discussing,
Yeah.
the importance of truly engaging the whole team,
Right.
not just the most vocal or influential stakeholders.
Yeah.
Even though they were trying to be inclusive,
Right.
they didn't quite achieve that balance of perspectives during those early planning stages.
It's a classic case of getting so focused on the technical details
Right.
that you forget about the human element.
Yeah.
But wait, didn't you say that they eventually launched a successful product?
Yeah,
So did they manage to turn things around?
they did.
Okay.
And it's a testament to the power of course correction.
Okay.
They realized their mistake and embraced that concept of collective responsibility we talked about.
Wow.
Instead of pointing fingers,
Right.
they swarmed the problem as a team
Oh, wow.
and added those missing features that were crucial for the home buyers.
Okay, so even when they stumbled, they were able to like adapt and course correct.
Yeah,
Because they had that shared vision
exactly.
and a strong sense of teamwork.
Exactly. And it's a great example of how those POA techniques like visioning and value modeling can help you stay aligned and focused,
Right.
even when you encounter unexpected challenges.
This is so inspiring. It really shows that even when you make mistakes,
Yeah,
having a cohesive team can make all the difference.
totally.
But WRU's journey didn't end there.
No.
They decided to take HomeKey global
Okay.
and expand into new geographic markets.
You're right. And that brings us to another layer of complexity.
I bet.
Expanding into new markets introduces a whole new set of challenges and stakeholders.
Different languages, different regulations, different customer expectations.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where the concept of planning horizons comes into play.
Okay.
The source highlights how these horizons help you maintain alignment and adapt to those new challenges.
Okay. This sounds crucial. Break it down for me.
Okay.
What are these planning horizons all about?
Think of them as different lenses for viewing your product strategy. The strategic horizon is all about making sure your product aligns with those big picture business goals
Okay.
and that you're ready to adapt to new market opportunities.
Uh-huh.
It's the high level view.
So in WRU's case, that would be like figuring out how global expansion fit into their long-term plan for HomeKey
Right.
and for the company as a whole.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's an ongoing process,
Uh-huh.
not just a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Right.
As new information comes in,
Yeah.
you're constantly reassessing and adjusting that strategic horizon.
Boy.
Now, to actually act on that strategy,
Okay.
you zoom in to the initiative horizon.
Okay.
This is where you start getting more specific.
Uh-huh.
You're tweaking your vision, refining your business model,
Okay.
and adjusting your roadmap to make those strategic goals a reality.
So for WRU, expanding into new markets might have meant rethinking how they packaged and priced HomeKey,
Uh-huh.
or even considering things like language localization.
Precisely. They had to consider things like translating the product, adapting to different architectural patterns in those new markets,
Okay.
and maybe even switching from a software product to a SaaS model with subscription options.
Wow.
All those bigger picture adjustments fall under the initiative horizon.
That's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
It really shows how taking a product global can force you to reevaluate how you do things.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the big picture strategy with the strategic horizon.
Right.
And then we get more specific with the initiative horizon.
Uh-huh.
What's the final layer in this planning cake?
The delivery horizon is where the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
This is where you translate those big picture changes
Right.
from the strategic and initiative horizons
Right.
into actionable steps.
Okay.
You're breaking those changes down into smaller requirements, reprioritizing your backlog,
Right.
and making sure your development team has a clear direction on what to build next.
So in WRU's case, this would be figuring out the specific tasks and features
Right.
needed to make those global adaptations happen.
Exactly. Things like incorporating language translation, adding APIs for local system integrations,
Mhm.
and developing new billing plans for those subscription options.
Okay.
That's all happening at the delivery horizon.
I'm starting to see the beauty of these planning horizons.
Yeah.
It's like using different zoom levels on a map.
Yeah.
You can see the whole continent.
Huh?
Then you can zoom into a specific country
Right?
and then zoom in even further to like street level.
Exactly.
You need all those perspectives to navigate effectively.
That's a fantastic analogy.
And WRU's case shows us that these horizons help you to stay aligned
Yeah.
and adapt to new challenges,
Mhm.
even as your product grows and evolves.
Yeah. And the key takeaway here is that they're not separate steps, they work together.
So it's this constant flow
Right.
where the strategic informs the initiative, which then guides the delivery.
Exactly.
Right.
And by using these horizons,
Wow.
you're constantly aligning your vision with reality,
Right.
making sure your product stays on track and actually delivers value to your customers.
All right. That makes total sense.
Good.
Now, we've talked about the importance of like aligning your product strategy and roadmap,
Right.
but let's not forget about the people
Yeah.
who are actually building and delivering the product.
Right.
The source emphasizes that engaged teams are happier,
Yeah.
more productive,
For sure.
and ultimately more successful.
Absolutely. The source material goes even further and connects this to the core tenets of psychological safety and a positive team culture.
And this is where things can get really tricky, right?
Yeah.
You can have the best strategy in the world,
Right.
but if your team isn't motivated
Yeah.
or doesn't feel empowered to contribute,
Mm-hmm.
it's all for nothing.
You're spot on. And it's interesting because the source doesn't just throw out those buzzwords like psychological safety.
Okay.
It actually gets into the specifics of what that looks like in a real world setting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
What are some of those key ingredients for building that kind of like thriving team culture?
Yeah. Well, it starts with fostering open communication,
Okay.
where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas and concerns without fear of judgment.
Sure.
It's about building trust and respect, where team members value each other's contributions and feel supported.
It sounds like you're describing a work environment
Yeah.
where people genuinely feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Right.
They feel valued, they feel heard,
Yeah.
and they feel like they can make a real difference.
You're exactly right.
Okay.
And the source emphasizes that leadership plays a crucial role in fostering this type of environment.
Uh-huh.
It's about being approachable and available,
Right.
providing regular feedback that's both appreciative and constructive,
Yeah.
and creating opportunities for collaboration and idea exchange.
Speaking of leadership,
Yeah.
the source revisits our friend Sem,
Oh, yeah.
the product owner at WRU.
Right?
Remember how he faced some initial resistance from his team?
Yes. It's never easy stepping into a new leadership role, especially when you're trying to bring about change.
It's like that saying, new boss, who dis?
Exactly.
Wow.
But the source highlights how Sem managed to turn that situation around
Okay.
and build a truly cohesive team.
Okay, how do you do that?
He started by breaking down those initial barriers.
Okay.
He held icebreaker sessions to encourage open dialogue and create a more relaxed atmosphere.
I can see how that would help people feel more comfortable
Yeah.
sharing their thoughts and ideas.
Right.
Especially with a new leader.
Yeah.
What else did Sem do to build that sense of team unity?
He got creative.
Okay.
He introduced scenario-based problem-solving exercises,
Uh-huh.
but with a twist.
Okay.
He presented the team with challenges that were totally unrelated to their actual work on HomeKey.
Interesting. Why do you think he did that?
It was about building those core teamwork muscles
Okay.
in a neutral environment
Uh-huh.
by working together on challenges that didn't have any pre-existing baggage or opinions attached to them. The team could focus on collaborating, communicating, and solving problems
Right.
without feeling like they were being judged or evaluated on
Yeah.
their product knowledge.
I love that approach.
Yeah,
It takes the pressure off
Right.
and lets people be more creative and experimental
exactly.
in their approach to problem solving.
Yeah.
And to top it off, Sem introduced some gamification elements.
Okay. To encourage participation and reward contributions.
Okay, so gamification.
Yeah.
I've seen that backfire before.
Right.
So how did Sem make sure that it didn't become too competitive or distract from the real goals?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
And it speaks to the importance of using gamification thoughtfully.
right.
Sem made sure to focus on elements that encouraged collaboration
Okay.
and rewarded collective achievement
Right.
rather than pitting individuals against each other.
So it's all about promoting teamwork
Yeah,
and celebrating shared success.
exactly. And it worked.
Awesome.
By combining these different approaches,
Ah,
Seam transformed a group of resistant individuals into a unified team
wow.
that was excited about building HomeKey together.
That's a fantastic example of leadership in action.
Yeah.
It really highlights the importance of creating a positive and supportive team culture where people feel empowered to contribute and do their best work.
Absolutely.
And the source emphasizes that this isn't just about creating a feel-good work environment.
Yeah,
It's directly linked to the success of the product itself.
right.
Engaged and empowered teams are more likely to deliver innovative and customer-centric solutions.
For sure.
Okay, so we've talked about building a shared vision
Mm-hmm.
and fostering a positive team culture.
Right.
But there's another crucial piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
What about understanding all those stakeholders who are impacted by the product?
Right.
The source dives deep into the concept of stakeholder analysis.
Yes.
And not just like identifying who they are,
right.
but truly understanding their needs,
Yeah.
their motivations, and their potential impact on the product.
It's a critical piece of the engage the whole team equation.
Okay.
Stakeholder analysis is like conducting a deep dive on each of your stakeholders,
I love a deep dive.
just as we're doing with this source material.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so why is stakeholder analysis so essential for building a successful product?
Well, it helps you build those meaningful relationships
Uh-huh.
that are crucial for effective collaboration.
Okay.
When you understand your stakeholders' needs and perspectives,
Right.
you can communicate with them more effectively.
Uh-huh.
And you can tailor your engagement strategies to
Yeah.
maximize their involvement and buy-in.
So it's about more than just sending out generic emails or holding obligatory meetings.
Right.
You're being more strategic and intentional about how you engage with each stakeholder
Yeah,
based on their unique needs and preferences.
exactly.
Okay.
And stakeholder analysis isn't a one-time thing.
Right.
It's an ongoing process that needs to be revisited and updated.
Because people change, priorities shift, and new stakeholders might emerge along the way.
Precisely.
Okay.
You need to stay agile and adapt your engagement strategies as needed.
It's like you're constantly fine-tuning your stakeholder radar,
Yeah.
making sure you're picking up on those subtle shifts and nuances.
Well, that's a great way to put it. Now, the source provides a comprehensive overview
Uh-huh.
of how to conduct stakeholder analysis.
Okay.
But I want to focus on a few key techniques
Okay.
that are particularly relevant for product owners
Okay.
and those involved in product analysis.
Perfect. Give me those insider tips.
One technique that's often used in the Agile world
Huh.
is creating personas.
Okay.
This involves building fictional representations of your key stakeholders
Okay.
based on research and data
Uh-huh.
to help you empathize with their needs and motivations.
We've all created personas,
Yeah,
but I found that they're only as good as the data you put into them.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
As they say.
Okay.
It's crucial to ground your personas in real customer insights,
Right.
not just assumptions.
So you're not just making up a name and a backstory.
Right.
You're digging deep to understand
Yeah.
their goals, their frustrations, their
Mhm.
aspirations.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then there's a helpful technique from the Baybuck Guide.
Okay.
Stakeholder lists and maps.
Okay.
These visual tools help you map out the relationships between your stakeholders,
Uh-huh.
identify potential areas of influence or conflict,
Okay.
and plan your engagement strategies accordingly.
So you're visualizing the stakeholder ecosystem.
Yeah.
That could be really helpful for identifying those hidden stakeholders or those unexpected relationships that could impact your product.
It can.
Mm.
And it's not just about identifying potential roadblocks.
Okay.
It's also about understanding the flow of communication and influence.
Right.
Who needs to be consulted on key decisions?
Mm-hmm.
Who needs to be kept informed?
Who has the power to champion or derail your project?
It's like you're mapping out the political landscape of your project.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
And just like in politics,
Mm-hmm.
building relationships and understanding the dynamics of power can be crucial for success.
Okay, so we've got personas, stakeholder lists, and maps.
Yeah,
And I bet there's a fun collaborative game in there somewhere too.
you bet.
Okay.
Remember the friend or foe game we discussed earlier?
Of course. That's the one where you figure out which stakeholders are likely to be your allies
Yeah,
and which ones might be potential roadblocks, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And while it's a lighthearted approach,
Uh-huh.
it can actually be quite insightful
Right.
for assessing stakeholder impact
Uh-huh.
and planning your engagement strategies accordingly.
So you're turning stakeholder analysis into a game.
It's all about making it engaging and accessible for the team.
I love it.
Now, the source also highlights a key point
Okay.
that's often overlooked in stakeholder analysis.
Okay, what's that?
Even seemingly uninvolved stakeholders
Huh?
can have a surprising impact on your product.
Oh, I love when those hidden influences come to light.
Let's revisit our friends at WRU.
Sorry?
Remember how they initially overlooked the needs of homebuyers when developing HomeKey?
Yes.
Well, after the initial launch,
Uh-huh.
they encountered another stakeholder challenge.
Okay.
This time, it involved a guy named Terrence.
Ooh. Another character enters the scene.
Terrence was a construction expert from their London office
Okay.
who took a very keen interest in HomeKey.
I'm sensing a potential Terrence in every organization.
Yeah.
Someone who's passionate, engaged,
Yeah.
and maybe a little bit too eager to share their opinions.
You're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
While Terrence brought a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table,
Uh-huh.
his enthusiasm also posed a potential challenge for the team.
I can see how that could be tricky.
Yeah.
Too much enthusiasm, even with good intentions, can
Correct.
sometimes derail a project. So how did Sem, our ever-resourceful product owner,
Yeah.
figure out how to manage Terrence's involvement effectively
Right.
without letting it disrupt ongoing development or demotivate the team?
He took a strategic approach.
Okay.
Remember those stakeholder analysis techniques we talked about?
Yes.
Well, Sem put them to good use.
Okay.
He started by conducting a detailed stakeholder analysis
Okay.
to truly understand Terrence's traits, influence, and expertise.
Okay.
He dug deep to understand Terrence's motivations,
Huh.
his communication style,
Okay.
and his potential impact on the project.
It sounds like Sem was treating Terrence almost like a customer,
Uh-huh.
really taking the time to understand his needs and how to best engage with him.
That's a great observation.
Okay.
And it highlights a key principle of effective stakeholder management.
Okay.
Treating your stakeholders with respect
Uh-huh.
and recognizing that they each bring their own unique value to the table.
Okay, so Sem did his homework on Terrence.
Yeah.
What did he do with those insights?
He used them to develop a communication plan
Yeah.
that would allow him to leverage Terrence's knowledge while also managing his expectations.
So he found a way to keep Terrence in the loop and
Yeah.
benefit from his expertise without letting his enthusiasm overwhelm the team.
Exactly.
Okay.
He made sure to consult with parents on those high-level decisions,
Okay.
like the product roadmap and key features.
Right.
But he also set clear boundaries around Terrence's involvement in the day-to-day development process.
So he gave Terrence a voice,
Yeah.
But he also made sure that the team could stay focused on execution
Right.
without getting bogged down in too many opinions or side conversations.
Right. Okay.
And the source highlights how this approach ultimately led to a win-win situation.
So Terrence felt valued and heard,
Yes.
and the team benefited from his insights without getting sidetracked.
Precisely.
That's fantastic. It really shows how stakeholder analysis can help you navigate those tricky interpersonal dynamics.
And create a more harmonious and productive.
Work environment.
Okay, so we've covered a lot when it comes to stakeholder analysis.
We have.
But how about we shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about stakeholder engagement,
Yeah.
because that feels like this natural progression,
Yeah.
right? You understand who your stakeholders are,
Right.
what they care about,
Mm-hmm.
and now you got to figure out
Yeah.
how to engage them effectively.
Precisely. And the source emphasizes that stakeholder engagement is an active and ongoing process.
Okay.
It's not enough to just send out periodic updates
Right.
or hold a few obligatory meetings.
So you need to be more proactive
Yeah,
and intentional about how you're interacting with your stakeholders.
absolutely.
It's about creating those opportunities for genuine dialogue,
Yeah.
collaboration, and feedback.
It's about treating your stakeholders like real people,
Right.
not just names on a list.
And remembering that they're all busy people just like you.
Right.
They don't want to be bombarded with irrelevant information,
Exactly.
pulled into pointless meetings.
Right. So it's crucial to be respectful of their time
Yeah.
and tailor your engagement strategies accordingly.
So the source breaks down stakeholder engagement into two key components:
Okay.
collaboration and communication.
All right, let's start with collaboration.
Okay, so what does collaboration look like
Yeah.
in the context of stakeholder management?
Collaboration is about going beyond just informing stakeholders.
Okay.
It's about actively involving them in the product development process.
So you're tapping into their expertise,
Uh-huh.
soliciting their feedback,
Right.
making them feel like they're part of the team.
Exactly. And the source emphasizes that collaboration needs to be tailored to the specific needs and preferences of each stakeholder.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
No.
You need to understand how each stakeholder prefers to be engaged
Yeah.
and what kind of contributions they're
Yeah.
most likely to make.
Precisely. Some stakeholders might thrive in brainstorming sessions,
Ah.
while others might prefer more structured one-on-one meetings.
Okay.
Some might be comfortable providing feedback through online surveys or forums,
Yeah.
while others might prefer face-to-face conversations.
It's about meeting them where they are, right?
Yes.
Understanding what works best for each individual to maximize their contributions.
Right. And when you create that kind of collaborative environment,
Uh-huh.
you're more likely to get valuable insights,
Mm-hmm.
build consensus around key decisions,
Okay.
and create a product that truly meets the needs of your stakeholders.
Okay, collaboration check.
All right.
What about the communication piece?
Communication is all about being clear, concise,
Okay.
and consistent in your messaging.
Uh-huh.
It's about choosing the right channels for reaching each stakeholder.
Right.
And it's about making sure they have the information they need
Yeah.
when they need it.
So it's not just about like blasting out a bunch of emails
Right.
or holding endless meetings.
Exact.
It's about being more strategic
Yeah.
and thoughtful in how you communicate.
And just like with collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
you need to tailor your communication strategies to each stakeholder.
Okay.
Some might prefer regular email updates,
Right.
while others might prefer a monthly newsletter or a quarterly report.
It's about understanding their preferred methods of communication,
Yeah,
as well as like the level of detail.
right.
They need to feel informed and engaged.
Right, and the source highlights how clear and consistent communication can build trust,
Uh-huh.
transparency,
Yeah.
and a sense of shared understanding among your stakeholders.
This is all so helpful. I'm starting to see how stakeholder engagement
Yeah.
is the key to unlocking all those other benefits we've been talking about.
Uh.
That buy-in, that feedback, and that support
Yeah,
that can make or break a product.
absolutely. And the source points out that effective stakeholder engagement
Uh-huh.
is a core responsibility for
Yeah.
product owners and those involved in product analysis.
Because they're the ones who are ultimately responsible for driving the product forward,
Right, yeah.
making sure it meets the needs of all those different stakeholders.
Exactly. They need to be champions of stakeholder engagement,
Okay.
constantly looking for ways to build those relationships and
Well-
create a sense of shared ownership and purpose.
Well said. Now, the source gets into some specific techniques
Okay.
for stakeholder engagement.
All right.
Are those fun collaborative games back on the menu?
You bet.
Okay.
The source emphasizes that collaborative games can be a highly effective way to engage stakeholders,
Yeah.
especially when you're trying to build consensus around a specific issue or problem.
All right, hit me with an example.
Okay.
What kind of game are we talking about here?
The source specifically mentions planning workshops.
Okay.
These workshops can be structured as collaborative games
Wow.
to make them more engaging and interactive.
That makes sense. So it's like a more interactive and engaging way to gather feedback
Right.
and build alignment around the product roadmap.
Exactly. And the source also points out that reviews can be a valuable tool for stakeholder engagement,
Okay.
but it emphasizes the importance of making those reviews more than just a formality.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Reviews can sometimes feel like a necessary evil,
Right.
like this bureaucratic process
Yeah.
that no one really enjoys.
Exactly. So how do you make them more engaging and valuable for everyone involved?
Yeah, how do you make it fun?
By making them interactive and collaborative.
Okay.
It's about showcasing the actual product,
Mm.
getting feedback on specific features,
Right.
and creating a space where stakeholders feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and ideas.
So it's less about like ticking boxes
Yeah.
and more about having a genuine conversation
Right.
about how the product is evolving.
Exactly. And the source suggests using visual aids like storyboards or prototypes
Okay.
to make those reviews more engaging
Uh-huh.
and help stakeholders visualize the product
Right.
and how it will be used.
I love that. It's about bringing the product to life
Yeah.
and making it feel real for the stakeholders.
Right. And when you do that,
Uh-huh.
you create a much more dynamic and valuable feedback loop.
Okay.
It's no longer just about pointing out flaws.
Right.
It's about working together to make the product better.
This is all so insightful. I'm feeling really empowered
Yeah.
to level up my stakeholder engagement game.
Me too. It's one of those things that can seem a bit daunting at first,
Yeah.
but the payoff is huge.
Yeah.
When you engage your stakeholders effectively,
Mhm.
you're not just building a better product.
Right.
You're building stronger relationships
Yeah.
and creating a more cohesive and collaborative work environment.
And who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Okay, so before we wrap up this section,
Okay.
let's go back to WRU
All right.
and see how Sem actually put these engagement techniques into practice
Okay.
with our friend Terrence.
Right.
Remember, Terrence was that high-energy stakeholder
Yeah.
who needed a bit of careful management.
Yeah.
So how did Sem navigate that tricky situation?
Well, after that initial stakeholder analysis,
Uh-huh.
Sem realized that Terrence was what we call a high-interest, high-influences stakeholder.
So he couldn't just ignore Terrence or brush him off.
Right.
He needed to find a way to actively engage him in the process,
Yeah.
while also making sure that Terrence's contributions didn't derail the project.
Exactly. And Sem's solution was to develop a communication plan
Okay.
that would keep Terrence informed and involved
Uh-huh.
without overwhelming the team.
Okay.
He recognized that Terrence had a wealth of knowledge and experience to offer,
Right.
but he also needed to set clear boundaries and
Mhm.
manage expectations.
So what did that communication plan actually look like?
Yeah.
How did Sem keep Terrence in the loop without letting him run the show?
He made sure to consult Terrence on those high-level decisions,
Right.
like the product roadmap and key features.
Right.
But he also set clear boundaries
Uh-huh.
around Terrence's involvement in the day-to-day development process.
So he gave Terrence a seat at the strategy table,
Yeah,
but not necessarily a voice in every single design decision.
precisely.
Okay.
He recognized that Terrence's expertise was valuable at a strategic level,
Yeah.
but he also needed to protect the team's focus and autonomy.
Right.
And it worked.
Okay.
The source highlights how this approach allowed Sem to leverage Terrence's knowledge without letting it disrupt the workflow.
That's a fantastic example of how to manage those high-energy stakeholders.
Yeah.
You give them a voice.
Right.
You respect their contributions,
Uh-huh.
but you also set clear boundaries
Yeah.
to protect the team and the project.
Exactly. It's about finding that win-win solution
Right.
that benefits everyone involved.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And it reinforces what we've been saying throughout this whole deep dive.
Uh-huh.
Engaging the whole team isn't just a nice to have.
Right.
It's a crucial element for building successful products.
It's about more than just checking boxes
Yeah.
or following a process.
Yeah.
It's about building genuine relationships,
Uh-huh.
creating a shared sense of purpose,
Yeah.
and tapping into the collective wisdom and creativity
Right.
of everyone involved.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that every stakeholder from the developers to the customers to that enthusiastic guy in the London office,
Right.
has something valuable to contribute.
Okay, so before we get too carried away
Yeah.
with our stakeholder love fest,
Okay.
let's shift gears and dive into another crucial aspect
All
of
right.
engaging the whole team,
Okay.
understanding the flow of value in product development.
Ah, yes. The source material introduces a powerful technique for visualizing and optimizing that flow of value,
Okay.
which is something that can be particularly relevant for product owners.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. What's this magical technique all about?
It's called value stream mapping,
Okay.
and it might surprise you to hear that it originated in the world of manufacturing.
Wait, really? So we're taking lessons from the factory floor
Yeah.
and applying them to the world of software
Right.
and digital products.
Exactly. It might seem like an odd pairing,
Yeah.
but the core principles are surprisingly transferable.
Okay.
Value stream mapping is all about visualizing the steps involved in delivering a product or service
Okay.
from start to finish.
So you're basically creating a map of all the activities
Yeah.
that go into creating value for your customers.
Precisely. And the beauty of this technique is
Yeah.
that it helps you identify bottlenecks, inefficiencies, and areas for improvement in your process.
I can see how that would be super valuable,
Yeah.
especially for someone in a product owner role.
Right.
It's like getting a bird's eye view of your entire process,
Uh-huh.
so you can spot those hidden roadblocks that are slowing things down.
Exactly. And the source emphasizes that value stream mapping in the context of product analysis.
Okay.
Goes beyond just looking at cost and cycle time.
Okay, so it's not just about making things faster and cheaper.
Right.
What else are we considering when we're mapping the value stream?
Yeah. It's about understanding the broader definition of value
Right.
from the perspective of your stakeholders.
Okay.
Remember, different stakeholders might have different ideas about what constitutes value.
Right. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
What's valuable to the marketing team
Mm-hmm.
might be totally different from what's valuable to the customer service team
Right.
or even to the end user.
Exactly. For some stakeholders, value might be about speed and efficiency.
Okay.
For others, it might be about quality, innovation,
Uh-huh.
or even something less tangible like brand perception or customer delight.
So you need to take all those different perspectives into account
Yeah,
when you're mapping your value stream.
precisely. And the source highlights how this definition of value can actually change
Okay.
over the product lifecycle.
Interesting. So what might be valuable during the initial launch of a product
Yeah,
might not be as important once the product matures
right.
and you're focused on different goals.
Exactly. For
Right.
example, during the launch phase,
Uh-huh.
customer acquisition might be the primary measure of value.
Okay.
But as the product matures,
Right.
the focus might shift to customer retention or lifetime value.
Right.
You need to adapt your definition of value
Uh-huh.
to reflect the current stage of the product's journey.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. I'm getting the big picture of value stream mapping.
Okay, good.
But can we get a bit more practical?
Yeah,
Can you walk me through an example
absolutely.
of how this actually works?
Let's imagine you're working on a new feature for a mobile app.
Okay. I'm picturing it. What kind of feature are we talking about?
Let's say it's a feature that allows users to book appointments with local businesses
Okay.
directly through the app.
Sounds pretty handy. I definitely use that.
Yeah.
So how would we start mapping the value stream
Yeah.
for that feature?
You'd start by identifying all the steps involved in delivering that feature.
Okay.
From that initial spark of an idea to the moment a user successfully books an appointment
Okay.
through the app.
Okay. So we need to think about things like
Yeah.
gathering requirements from the users and the businesses, designing the user interface,
Right.
developing the code, testing the feature,
Yeah,
and then actually deploying it to the App Store.
exactly. And then you'd also need to consider all those supporting activities,
Okay.
like marketing the new feature, providing customer support,
Right.
and analyzing user data to see how people are actually using it.
Wow. There are a lot more steps involved than I initially realized. It's easy to focus on just the development piece,
Yeah,
but there's so much more that goes into delivering a successful feature.
right.
So once we've identified all those steps,
Yeah.
how do we actually map them out?
You arrange them in a visual flow chart,
Okay.
typically from left to right,
Uh-huh.
to represent the chronological order of those activities.
So you're literally creating a map of the process.
Exactly. And you don't just list the steps.
Okay.
You also include data about each step,
Okay, like what?
like the time it takes to complete,
Okay.
the resources required, and any delays or bottlenecks that occur along the way.
I can see how having that data would be super helpful
Yeah.
for identifying areas for improvement.
Right.
You could see, for example,
Yeah.
if a particular step is taking way longer than expected,
Right.
or if a certain team is consistently overloaded with work.
Precisely. And armed with that knowledge,
Yeah.
you can start to streamline your process
Mm.
and make it more efficient. And
Okay.
here's a key point.
Okay.
Value stream mapping is a collaborative process.
So,
You're not just doing this in isolation.
right.
You're bringing together people from different teams and departments
Ah,
to get their input and perspectives.
that makes sense. You want to make sure you're capturing all the nuances of the process
Right.
and getting a holistic view
Yeah.
of how things are actually working.
Right. And that's one of the key benefits of this technique.
Okay.
It fosters communication, breaks down silos,
Uh.
and helps everyone understand how their work contributes to the overall flow of value.
It's like a team building exercise that also happens to improve your product development process.
Exactly.
I'm on board.
And this approach isn't just limited to software development. It can
Yeah.
be applied to any process
Right.
where you're trying to deliver value to a customer or stakeholder.
Okay, I'm officially a value stream mapping convert.
Awesome.
I'm already thinking about all the different ways I can apply this to my work,
Good.
but how does it fit into the overall framework
Yeah,
of product ownership analysis?
that's a great question. The source highlights how value stream mapping is integrated
Oh.
into all those POA domains we discussed earlier.
Okay, remind me what those domains are again.
We've got applying foundational concepts,
Mm-hmm.
cultivating customer intimacy,
Okay.
engage the whole team,
Huh.
make an impact, deliver often,
Right.
learn fast,
Ah,
and obsess about value.
right.
Value stream mapping can play a role in each of these areas.
All right, let's connect the dots. How does value stream mapping play into applying foundational concepts?
It helps you understand how your product development process aligns with the big picture goals
Right.
and strategies of your organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's about making sure your efforts are contributing to the overall mission and direction of the company.
So you're not just building a product in a vacuum.
Right.
You're making sure it fits into the broader context of the company's vision and priorities.
Exactly. And for cultivate customer intimacy,
Okay.
value stream mapping helps you see your product
Uh-huh.
through the eyes of your customers.
Okay.
By mapping out their journey,
Right.
you can identify those pain points, those
Right.
areas of friction,
Okay.
and those opportunities for improvement.
It's like walking a mile in your customer's shoes.
Yeah.
But instead of shoes, you're wearing a value stream map. What about engage the whole team?
Right.
We've already talked about the collaborative nature of value stream mapping,
Yeah.
but how does it specifically support that domain?
It brings people together from different teams and departments
Yeah.
to work together
Right.
on improving the flow of value.
It's team sport.
It is, and for make an impact.
All right.
Value stream mapping helps you identify those activities that are truly creating value for your customers.
Okay.
So you can focus your efforts on the things that matter most.
So you're not just being busy.
Right.
You're making sure your activities are actually moving the needle
Yeah.
and delivering results.
Exactly. And for deliver often,
Okay.
value stream mapping helps you optimize your delivery process.
Uh-huh.
So you can get those valuable products and features
Right.
into the hands of your customers faster.
Speed and agility. Two
Yeah.
of my favorite words.
And what about learn fast? How does value stream mapping support that domain?
Well, by mapping out your process and gathering data,
Uh-huh.
you can identify those areas where you need to improve
Right.
and then experiment with different approaches to see what works best.
Yeah.
It's about creating that feedback loop
Huh?
and using it to drive continuous improvement.
You nailed it. And finally, for obsess about value,
Okay.
value stream mapping helps you stay laser focused on what truly matters,
Uh-huh.
delivering value to your customers.
This is so powerful. It's like a framework for continuous improvement.
It is, and that's what's so exciting about value stream mapping.
Okay.
It's not just a technique for identifying and fixing problems.
Right.
It's a way of thinking that can transform your entire approach
Mhm.
to product development.
Okay. I'm officially a value stream mapping evangelist.
Okay.
Now, the source also mentions another powerful technique
Okay.
for engaging the whole team and building alignment around the product vision. Visioning.
Yes, vision. It sounds so inspiring, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It conjures up images of like brainstorming sessions,
Right.
whiteboards covered in sticky notes,
Yeah.
and those like aha moments
Uh-huh.
when everything clicks into place.
And that's exactly what it's all about.
Yeah.
Visioning is the process of articulating the desired outcome
Okay.
for your product or initiative
Uh-huh.
in a way that's clear, compelling, and aspirational.
So you're painting a picture of the future you want to create
Exactly.
with this product.
And the source emphasizes that visioning isn't just about coming up with a catchy slogan or a lofty mission statement.
It's got to be more than just words on a page.
Right.
How do you actually make that vision come alive
Yeah.
and inspire people to action?
That's where the magic of collaborative visioning comes in.
Okay.
It's about bringing people together,
Uh-huh.
engaging them in a process of exploration and discovery,
Right.
and creating a shared understanding
I'll
of what you're trying to achieve
Uh-huh.
and why it matters.
So everyone's on the same page,
Right.
growing in the same direction,
Yeah.
feeling that sense of ownership
Eh.
and excitement about the vision.
Precisely. And the source highlights how visioning can be a powerful tool
Uh-huh.
for motivating and inspiring your team.
Especially when you involve them in the process of shaping that vision.
Because when you have a clear and compelling vision,
Yeah.
it's easier to get people excited about the work they're doing right.
Right?
It gives them a sense of purpose,
Uh-huh.
and it helps them see how their individual contributions fit into the bigger picture.
Absolutely. It's not just about tasks and deadlines anymore.
Right.
It's about connecting with a shared goal that's bigger than ourselves.
And it's not just about capturing the what of the vision.
Right.
It's about articulating the why, right?
Yeah.
Why are we building this product?
Huh.
What impact do we want to have on the world?
Right.
What problems are we trying to solve?
You got it. And the source emphasizes that visioning is an ongoing process.
Okay.
It's not a one and done exercise.
So you're not just creating a vision statement and framing it on the wall.
Right.
You need to revisit and refine that vision as your product evolves, as
Yeah.
the market changes, and
Yeah.
your team grows and learns and priorities shift. Yeah, you're right. It's a living document that needs to be nurtured and adapted.
Okay, but how do you actually keep that vision alive
Right.
and make sure that it doesn't just like gather dust on a shelf?
That's where those POA techniques come in.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about visioning, value modeling, business capability analysis,
Uh-huh.
and even that two brains, tell it and sell it exercise.
Right.
Those techniques aren't just for the initial vision setting phase.
Right.
They can be revisited and reapplied throughout the product lifecycle to make sure that vision stays relevant and inspiring.
I love that. It's like you're giving the vision a regular tune-up,
Yeah.
making sure it's still aligned with your goals, your market, and your team's understanding.
Exactly.
Now, the source material also points out that sometimes
Yeah.
you need to reevaluate your product
Yeah.
after its initial launch.
Yes. It's so important to be honest with yourself.
Right.
Is the product still solving the right problem?
Right.
Is it truly meeting the needs of your target market?
Hmm.
Or has the landscape shifted, requiring a vision adjustment?
And that can be tough, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you've poured your heart and soul into building a product.
Right.
It can be hard to admit that maybe it needs a course correction.
It can be a humbling experience.
Right.
But that willingness to adapt and evolve is essential for long-term success.
Okay, so let's say you've gone through that visioning process.
Okay.
You've built a strong team culture.
Uh-huh.
You've done your stakeholder analysis.
Right.
What's next?
Yeah.
How do you actually translate that vision
Right.
into a tangible plan for building the product?
That's where another powerful POA technique comes in.
Okay.
Problem definition and analysis.
Okay.
And while it might sound like a no-brainer,
Right.
of course you need to define the problem.
Yeah.
The source highlights how crucial it is to do this thoroughly and collaboratively.
I've been there. It's so easy to just jump into solution mode
Right.
before you truly understand the problem. Sometimes you end up solving the wrong problem altogether.
It's a common trap.
Yeah.
That's why the source emphasizes the importance of taking a customer-centric approach to problem definition.
So you're putting yourself in the shoes of your customers.
Right.
Really understanding their needs, their pain points, their desired outcomes.
Exactly. And the source recommends some familiar techniques here.
Okay.
Personas, customer journey maps,
Uh-huh.
and empathy maps.
Right.
These tools can help you get inside the heads of your customers
Okay.
and see the problem from their perspective.
We've talked about those before, but I think it's worth reiterating that those tools are only as good as the data you put into them.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
It's garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. So make sure you're grounding your problem definition
Yeah,
in solid research and data.
right.
Okay, so you've done your customer research.
Okay.
You've created your personas.
Uh.
You've walked a mile in their metaphorical shoes.
Right.
Now, how do you actually define the problem?
Yes.
In a way that's clear, concise, and actionable.
The source introduces a helpful framework here,
Okay.
the Cinefin framework.
Ooh, a new framework.
Yeah.
I'm always up for learning a new framework.
Okay.
What's the Cinefin framework all about?
It's a decision-making framework that helps you assess the complexity of a situation
Okay.
and choose the right approach for dealing with it.
Okay.
Because, as you know, not all problems are created equal.
Right. Some problems are simple,
Yeah.
some are complex,
Uh-huh.
and some just make you want to pull your hair out.
Exactly. And the Cinefin framework helps you categorize those problems into 4 domains:
Okay.
simple, complicated, complex, and chaotic.
Okay, break those down for me.
Okay.
What makes a problem simple versus complicated versus complex versus chaotic?
A simple problem is one where the cause and effect are clear
Okay.
and the solution is pretty obvious.
I
It's
know.
like following a recipe or assembling a piece of furniture
Yeah.
with clear instruction.
Right.
You can apply best practices
Well.
or follow a set of rules to solve these types of problems.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
What about complicated problems?
Complicated problems also have a known cause and effect,
Okay.
but the solution requires more expertise or analysis.
So you might need to consult with an expert or do some research to figure out the best approach.
Exactly.
Mm.
Now, complex problems are trickier.
Okay.
The cause and effect are often unclear,
Uh-huh.
and the best solution might not be apparent upfront.
Okay.
You need to experiment, gather feedback, and adapt your approach as you go.
So it's more about trial and error and embracing that uncertainty.
Exactly.
That's
And then
okay.
there are the chaotic problems,
Okay.
the ones that make you want to run for the hills.
Yeah.
These are situations where the cause and effect are completely unknown
Uh-huh.
and things are highly unpredictable.
Okay.
It's like trying to navigate a maze in the dark.
Okay. That sounds a bit terrifying.
Yeah.
How do you even begin to tackle a chaotic problem? Do you just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks?
Well, the source suggests that the first step is to try and move the problem
Okay.
from the chaotic domain to the complex domain.
Okay.
You do this by gathering more information,
Uh-huh.
establishing some level of order,
Okay.
and creating a framework for understanding the situation.
So it's about bringing some structure to the chaos so you can start to make sense of it
Right.
and identify potential solutions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once you've assessed the complexity of your problem
Oh.
using the Cinefin framework,
Uh-huh.
the source suggests using another helpful technique for framing that problem.
Okay, what's that?
The 4 W's of problem framing.
Ah, the 4 W's. I'm guessing that stands for who, what, where, and why.
You got it. And the source provides a handy problem framing canvas to guide you through the process.
I love a good canvas. So how does this problem framing canvas work?
Well, for who, you identify who's experiencing the problem.
So in the context of product development, that would be your target customer
Yeah.
or user.
Exactly. For
Yeah.
what,
Mm-hmm.
you describe the problem itself in clear and simple terms.
Okay.
What's the pain point they're experiencing?
Right.
What's not working for them?
You're getting to the heart of the issue. What about where?
For where, you identify the context in which the problem arises.
Okay.
Is it something they experience while using your product?
Uh-huh.
Is it something that happens in their daily lives?
So you're understanding the environment in which the problem exists.
Right.
And last but not least, why?
Why is all about articulating why this problem is worth solving.
Okay.
What are the potential benefits?
Hmm.
How will it improve the lives of your customers?
Okay.
How does it align with your overall product vision?
I love that. It's about connecting the problem to the bigger picture
Right.
and making sure it's worth investing your time and resources in solving.
Right. And the source emphasizes that this problem framing exercise should be a collaborative process.
Okay.
Involving your team and stakeholders to brainstorm, challenge assumptions, and refine the problem definition.
It's all about bringing those diverse perspectives to the table
Yeah.
and making sure you're solving the right problem
Right.
the right way for the right people.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've defined the problem.
Okay.
You've looked at those alternative solutions. Now what?
Now it's time to get creative and start brainstorming solutions of your own.
Okay.
And remember,
Hmm.
this entire process of problem definition and analysis should be iterative.
So you're not just following a linear path.
Right.
You're willing to go back and refine your problem definition.
Yeah.
Or even revisit those alternative solutions as you learn more and gather new insights.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about embracing that uncertainty and being open to adjusting your course as needed.
Okay, so once you've got a solid understanding of the problem
Okay.
and you've started generating those potential solutions,
Yeah.
you need a way to capture, organize, and prioritize all those ideas.
Right.
And that brings us to another crucial POA technique, product backlog management.
Ah, the product backlog.
Okay.
That's where all of the magic happens.
It's where you capture all those brilliant ideas and features
Mm-hmm.
that are going to make your product a success.
You got it.
So it's like a giant to-do list, but for products.
Exactly. And the source highlights how effective product backlog management is essential for keeping your development team focused
Okay.
and ensuring that you're delivering value to your customers in
Wow.
a timely and efficient manner.
Okay. I'm sensing a but coming.
You're right. The source also points out that while the concept of a product backlog is simple, managing it effectively can be surprisingly challenging.
I bet. Especially when you have a lot of stakeholders with different priorities
Right.
and a ton of great ideas floating around.
Yeah.
It's like trying to herd cats.
It can feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's why the source emphasizes the importance of having a clear process and a shared understanding of how to manage the backlog effectively.
Okay, so what are the keys to taming those wild backlog cats?
The source breaks it down into 3 key activities: recording, tracking, and ordering.
Okay, let's unpack those one by one.
Right.
What's involved in recording the product backlog?
Recording is all about capturing all those product ideas, features, and requirements in a way that's clear, concise, and consistent.
Okay.
You need a system for documenting those brilliant ideas and making sure everyone understands what's being captured.
So it's about speaking the same language, so to speak, when
Yeah.
it comes to describing and documenting those backlog items.
Exactly. The source emphasizes the importance of using a standardized format
Okay.
for your product backlog items, or PBIs, to ensure that clarity and consistency. It makes it much easier to track progress, identify dependencies,
Right?
and communicate effectively with the team.
Right. You don't want people interpreting those backlog items differently or having to constantly clarify what each item actually means.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've recorded our product backlog.
Okay.
We're all speaking the same language.
Uh-huh.
What's next?
Next comes tracking.
Yeah.
This is all about keeping tabs on the status of each PBI,
Yeah.
making sure things are moving forward as planned.
Okay.
You need a system for monitoring progress, identifying roadblocks,
Right.
and making those necessary adjustments along the way.
So it's like project management, but for the product backlog.
Precisely. And those agile project management tools we all know and love can be incredibly helpful here.
Right.
They make it so much easier to visualize the backlog, track progress, and collaborate with the team.
Okay, so we've recorded our backlog. We're tracking progress.
Yeah.
What's that third key activity, ordering?
Ordering is all about prioritizing those PBIs.
Okay.
You've got this big list of potential things to build,
Right.
but you need to figure out what to work on first, second, third.
You're making sure your development team is focused on those most important things first.
Right.
Those tasks that are going to deliver the most value to your customers.
Exactly. And the source highlights just how challenging this prioritization process can be.
Right.
You've got a limited amount of time and resources,
Right.
and you've got a lot of stakeholders
Uh-huh.
with different priorities and opinions.
The balancing act.
It is.
It's that classic tension between building everything you want to build
Yeah.
and building what you actually have the capacity to build, right?
Right. And you've got to make those tough decisions
Right.
about what's going to deliver the most value within the constraints of your resources and timeline.
So how do you actually go about making those prioritization decisions?
Yeah.
How do you avoid getting bogged down in endless debates or letting those loudest voices dominate the conversation?
That's where prioritization techniques come in.
Okay.
We've all used Moscow, which stands for must have, should have, could have, won't have. It's a simple but effective way. Right.
To categorize your PBIs based on their level of importance.
We've all used Moscow, but I find it's most effective when you combine it with a real understanding of the cost of delay.
You're reading my mind.
Yeah.
The source also highlights the importance of considering the cost of delay
Right.
when prioritizing your backlog.
Sure.
It's about asking yourself, what's the negative impact of not delivering this feature or product on time?
Right. Sometimes a feature that seems like a must-have on the surface might actually have a relatively low cost of delay,
Right.
while a should-have might be much more time sensitive.
Exactly. And by quantifying that cost of delay,
Right.
you can make more informed prioritization decisions.
Okay, so we've got Moscow.
Okay.
We've got cost of delay.
Uh-huh.
What other techniques does the source recommend for prioritizing that backlog?
It mentions a few others that are commonly used in Agile development,
Okay.
including weighted shortest job first,
Okay.
or WSJF,
Uh-huh.
and the value versus complexity matrix. Okay, break those down for me. What's WSJF all about?
WSJF is a prioritization technique that takes into account
Okay.
both the cost of delay and the size of the job.
Okay.
So you're looking for those high-value items
Uh-huh.
that can be delivered relatively quickly.
So it's about finding those quick wins
Yeah.
that deliver maximum impact.
Makes sense.
Okay.
What about the value versus complexity matrix?
What's that one about?
That one's all about visualizing your PBIs
Okay.
based on their perceived value and the effort required to implement them.
I love a good visual tool.
Yeah.
So you're plotting your PBIs on a graph
Uh-huh.
with value on one axis and complexity on the other.
Precisely.
Okay.
And this can help you identify those quick wins that deliver high value with minimal effort, as well as those high value
Oh, yeah.
but complex items that
Mhm.
might require more planning and resources.
I'm starting to see how using a combination of these techniques can help you create a well-prioritized backlog that balances the needs of your stakeholders,
Right.
the constraints of your resources,
Mm-hmm.
and the overall vision for the product.
Exactly. And the source emphasizes that the best approach will vary depending on the specific context of your product and the needs of your stakeholders.
Right.
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
So it's about being flexible, experimenting with different techniques,
Yeah.
and finding what works best for your team and your product.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, before we move on to the next technique,
Okay.
I want to touch on a common pitfall
Okay.
that the source highlights.
Okay, what's that?
The everything is a must-have trap.
Oh, we've all been there. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of new ideas and features,
Right.
and suddenly everything seems essential.
It's a natural human tendency, but it can lead to unrealistic expectations and scope creep,
Right.
which can ultimately derail your project.
So how do you avoid falling into that trap?
The source suggests that one of the best antidotes is having a clear and well-defined product vision to guide your prioritization decisions.
Because when you have that guiding vision,
Right.
it's easier to say no to those nice-to-have features
Right.
that aren't truly essential
Yeah.
or aligned with your goals.
It's all about being strategic and intentional
Right.
about what you choose to build.
And remembering that every feature you add to the backlog
Uh-huh.
comes with a cost,
Yeah.
not just in terms of development time and resources,
Right.
but also in terms of complexity and potential impact
Right.
on the user experience.
That's a great point. It's
it's-
easy to focus on all the cool things you could build,
Right.
but you also need to consider the trade-offs
Uh-huh.
and make sure you're not sacrificing simplicity and elegance
Yeah.
for the sake of adding more bells and whistles.
Well said. Okay, so we've explored problem definition and analysis.
Okay.
We've tackled product backlog management.
Uh-huh.
And we've even touched on the everything is a must-have trap. What other techniques does the source material cover for engaging the whole team
Yeah.
and building successful products?
Well, it dives into a concept that's often used in the startup world,
Okay.
but is equally relevant for established businesses.
Okay, what's that?
Product market fit.
Ooh, product market fit. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
It's essentially about finding that sweet spot
Okay.
where your product and your target market align perfectly.
Okay.
It's about making sure you're building a product that people actually need and want,
Uh-huh.
and that you're reaching those people through the right channels.
So it's not enough to just have a great idea.
No.
You need to make sure that there's an actual market for your product
Right.
and that you're delivering it in a way
Uh-huh.
that resonates with your target customers.
Exactly. And the source emphasizes that achieving product market fit is crucial for success.
Because if you're building a product that nobody wants,
Right.
or if you're not reaching the right people,
Right.
you're essentially wasting time and resources.
Right. And the source points out that many organizations fail because they don't take the time to truly understand their target market and their needs.
Okay.
They get so caught up in the excitement of their idea
Right.
that they forget to validate it with the people who actually matter, the customers.
It's like throwing a party
Yeah,
and forgetting to invite any guests.
exactly.
Okay, so
Mhm.
how do you actually go about achieving this magical product market fit?
Right.
Is there like a secret formula?
The source outlines a 9-step process that can help you assess and achieve product market fit.
9 steps. Okay, I'm ready to take notes.
Right.
Give me the breakdown.
First, you need to identify your ideal customer or customer segments.
Okay.
Who are you trying to reach with your product?
Okay.
What are their needs, their demographics, their behaviors?
Right, and if your target market is really broad,
Yeah.
you might need to create like different market segments to group those customers with similar needs and behaviors. It's about getting really specific and understanding the nuances of your target audience.
Exact. Second, you need to go deeper than just demographics.
Yeah, okay.
You need to understand those customer segments on a more personal level.
So you're getting into their heads,
Right?
understanding their values, their aspirations, their challenges.
Precisely. And the source suggests using some familiar techniques here.
Okay.
Those personas, customer journey maps, and observations to gather those valuable insights.
Those tools are making a comeback.
It's all about building that customer empathy
Right.
and truly understanding what makes them tick.
Okay, what's the third step in this product market fit journey?
The third step is to take a look at your competition.
Okay.
Who are your top competitors?
Mm-hmm.
What are their strengths and weaknesses?
Okay.
How are they meeting the needs of your target customers?
So it's about doing that competitive analysis, but with a focus on understanding how those competitors are positioning themselves in the market and what value they're offering to your target customers.
Exactly. And once you have a good understanding of your customers and your competitors, you can move on to step 4, defining a high-level solution idea.
So you're starting to sketch out what your product will look like
Right.
and how it will address those unmet needs in the market.
Right. And this is where you start connecting the dots
Okay.
between what your customers want, what your competitors are offering,
Okay.
and what you're uniquely positioned to deliver.
Okay. Step 4 check. What's next?
Step 5 is to articulate your value proposition.
Okay.
What makes your product unique and desirable?
Right.
Why should customers choose you over the competition?
Right. It's that elevator pitch we talked about earlier, right?
Got it.
That concise and compelling statement. That captures the essence of what your product offers.
Right.
And why it's so special.
And once you've got your value proposition nailed down,
Okay.
you can move on to step 6,
Okay.
planning your MVP.
The MVP, the minimum viable product.
Yes.
That's the version of your product with just enough features
Yeah.
to get it into the hands of those early adopters.
Right.
So you can start gathering feedback
Uh-huh.
and iterating.
Exactly.
Okay.
The MVP is all about validating your assumptions, learning from your users,
Okay.
and refining your product before you invest too much time and money
Right.
in building something that might not be a good fit for the market.
It's like dipping your toes in the water before you jump in head first.
Right.
Okay. So you've built your MVP. You've got it out there in the wild.
Yeah.
What's next?
Step 7 is all about gathering feedback.
Okay.
And it's not just about passively collecting data.
Right.
It's about actively engaging with those early adopters and observing how they're using your product.
So you're watching them like a hawk,
Right.
taking notes, asking questions, really trying to understand their experience.
Exactly. And you're looking for those aha moments, those moments of delight, as well as those areas of friction or confusion.
It's about getting that real-world feedback.
Right.
And using it to iterate
Yeah.
and improve your product.
Okay, so you've gathered your feedback. You've made those adjustments.
Right.
Now, how do you know if you've actually achieved product market fit?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Yeah.
How do you know if you've actually struck gold? What are the signs?
Well, the source suggests using a combination of quantitative and qualitative metrics.
Okay, give me some examples.
Okay.
How do you actually measure something as seemingly intangible as product market fit?
On the quantitative side, you can look at metrics like customer churn rate, net promoter score, and growth rate.
So you're looking at things like how many customers are sticking around,
Right.
how likely they are to recommend your product to others, and how quickly your user base is growing.
Exactly.
Right.
And on the qualitative side,
Yeah.
you might look at things like word of mouth referrals, online reviews, and media buzz.
So you're listening to what people are saying about your product, both online and offline.
Right.
Are they raving about it to their friends?
Yeah.
Are they leaving glowing reviews?
Yeah.
Are industry publications taking notice?
Precisely. And when you see those positive signals, it's a good indication that you're on the right track.
I love those tangible signs of success.
Yeah.
It's like getting validation from the universe
Right.
that you're building something truly special.
Okay, so we've measured our product market fit. What's the final step in this 9-step process?
Yeah, the grand finale.
Step 9 is a simple but crucial reminder. Avoid complacency.
So you're not just resting on your laurels.
Right.
You're continuing to monitor the market, gather feedback, and iterate on your product.
Exactly.
Okay.
Product market fit is not a destination, it's a journey.
Right.
The market is constantly changing, your customers' needs are evolving, and your competitors are always trying to one-up you.
So you need to stay agile, stay hungry, and stay ahead of the curve.
Right.
And that's how you build a product that's not just successful today, but also sustainable and thriving in the long run.
Exactly.
Well said. Okay, so we've explored the 9-step process for achieving product market fit.
Right.
What are some of the key benefits of going through this process?
The source highlights how achieving product market fit can create that shared understanding of how your product aligns with customer needs and the marketplace. Stimulate creative problem solving and innovation by identifying a product that customers will love and choose over competitors.
Okay.
Provide a strong starting point for creating the product and ensuring it continues to remain aligned to that dynamic marketplace.
Those are some pretty compelling benefits. It's like a roadmap for building a product that's not just good, but truly great.
It is, and it all comes back to that core principle of engaging the whole team.
Because you needed those diverse perspectives, that customer empathy, and that collaborative spirit to navigate the complexities of the market and build a product that truly stands out.
Exactly. It's about bringing everyone together, aligning your vision, and creating something truly special.
Beautifully said. Well, dear listeners, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Exploring those key principles and techniques for engaging the whole team.
Host,